dossier was begun in 1940, and by the time of her death in 1962, it was more than 3,000 pages long. When the FBI gave Mrs. Roosevelt the news of the threat against her life, they also informed her that if she decided to speak at the Highlander Folk School, they could not protect her. Whether they couldn't or wouldn't, Eleanor Roosevelt understood that if she made the trip to rural Tennessee, she would be on her own. The situation was dangerous, but she believed in the Highlander Folk School's mission and the cause of the civil rights movement. So to Tennessee she went, determined as usual, but this time with a gun at her side. Chapter 1. Granny. Poor little rich girl. If ever a child fit that description, it was young Eleanor Roosevelt. She was born on October 11, 1884, into a very privileged world. Her mother, Anna Hall, and her father, Elliot Roosevelt, came from wealthy families that were pillars of New York society. Eleanor's early years were lived in city townhouses with fashionable addresses and country homes on expansive grounds. She was surrounded by servants and wore dresses made of velvet and lace. There were sea voyages, pony cart rides, plenty of dolls and toys. But one thing Eleanor didn't have: her mother's affection. "My mother was one of the most beautiful women I have ever seen," wrote Eleanor as the opening sentence of her autobiography. This was not just the opinion of an impressionable little girl. Anna Hall Roosevelt, graceful and with striking patrician features, was considered to be one of the great beauties of her day. Anna's family was among the early arrivals in the country that would eventually become the United States of America. One relative helped draft the Declaration of Independence. Another, in 1787, signed the United States Constitution. The family of Elliot Roosevelt also had roots in America that were deep and wealthy. Elliot was handsome and personable, and as a boy, it seemed as if he would go far. His older brother, Theodore, was a sickly child who suffered with asthma, so it was Elliot who came first in sports and games. But then something changed. Theodore decided to exercise and strengthen his body. As he grew stronger, Elliot seemed to become weaker, and he began suffering from all sorts of nervous ailments. By the time they were young men, Theodore took his place as the leader of his family, and eventually of the country. Theodore Roosevelt went on to become the 26th President of the United States. Elliot devoted his life to good times, travel, dances, and drinking. Lots of drinking. Still, when Anna Hall and Elliot Roosevelt decided to marry, Anna, only 19, Elliot, 23, it seemed like an excellent match. Shimmering stars from the same cloistered social circle, a joining of two distinguished families, both partners with enough resources to have a life of style and ease. 10 months after their 1883 wedding, Eleanor was born. For Elliot, she was a miracle from heaven. Perhaps Anna had thought that at first, but by the time Eleanor was 2, she had given her little daughter a less than flattering nickname: Granny. It was a name, Eleanor would say, that made her want to sink through the floor in shame. Eleanor describes herself in her autobiography as a shy, solemn child who rarely smiled. This was not the sort of behavior that would have endeared her to Anna, who preferred charm and gaiety. She didn't understand her dour little daughter, and she was disappointed that Eleanor hadn't inherited her good looks. As an adult, Eleanor said that she knew she was ugly, though photographs show a pleasant-looking, if plain, child. Nevertheless, her sense that her mother disapproved of her was a burden she carried throughout her life. Elliot, though, remained enchanted with his little daughter. Even after the birth of his sons, Elliot Jr. in 1889 and Hall in 1891, his daughter, whom he nicknamed Little Nell, remained his favorite.